Welcome back to the Olive Grove. You guys know the drill by now, right? You send us the interesting stuff, and we take a deep dive together to kind of see what gems we can uncover. And today's deep dive, it's taking us to Isaiah chapter 12, specifically an excerpt someone sent over from a website called My Christian Space. Now, this one piqued my interest because it ties these verses to the millennial reign, that 1,000-year period when Jesus is believed to rule on earth. And more specifically, it talks about the songs of praise that'll kind of echo throughout that era.
And what's really fascinating here is that this source uses the complete Jewish Bible. It's a direct translation from Hebrew to English, so we might get to explore some nuances that we don't typically see in other translations.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. So Isaiah 12 is all about these songs of praise during the millennial reign. But I guess my question is, what makes these songs different? Like, why are they reserved for that specific time period? What makes them stand out from other types of praise in the Bible?
That's a great question. The source actually connects this chapter back to Revelation 20, which gives us this incredibly vivid picture of this future kingdom. When we consider both of these passages together, these songs become way more than just like joyful expressions.
Right.
They become this prophetic declaration of God's ultimate victory. It's a depth of meaning that we might not fully grasp in any other period of time.
Wow. Okay, that gives us a whole new layer to consider. So the excerpt breaks down two main songs within Isaiah 12. One expressing gratitude for salvation, the other one like a call to action to spread the word about God's deeds. It almost feels like a two-part symphony. You start with personal reflection, then it expands outward. It's like this global proclamation.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way the chapter unfolds, it's interesting. It starts with, on that day, in verses 1 and 2, immediately grounding us in this future millennial setting. And the source even links it back to chapter 11, where that imagery of this kind of idyllic kingdom is first introduced. It's like this narrative is building, sweeping us towards this really climactic moment.
Oh, I see what you mean. There's also this really interesting shift from anger to comfort mentioned in those verses, almost like a collective exhale of relief after a long period of tension.
That's a great point. The source emphasizes this shift. It's like God's anger has subsided and it's replaced by this pure comfort and forgiveness. It really foreshadows Yeshua Jesus as the Messiah being the only way to salvation. Imagine how this would have resonated with the Jewish people at that time. They were longing for a savior, for a period of peace, especially after enduring so much turmoil.
Yeah. That's powerful. It's like they were clinging to these words as a promise of a brighter future.
And speaking of powerful imagery, verse 3 gets super vivid. The description of drawing water from the springs of salvation. I love how the source connects this to the daily lives of the people of Judah.
Yeah.
They depended on wells for their survival. Yeah, exactly. It makes it so relatable. It's that universal experience of thirsting for something essential, something life-giving. And remember how water often symbolizes the Spirit of God throughout the Bible. So here, it's not just physical thirst being quenched, it's spiritual thirst. That wellspring of joy that Isaiah describes, the kind that comes from this deep connection with God.
Man, these verses are so multi-layered. Okay, so then in verses 4 and 5, the tone kind of shifts again. There's this call to action. We're told to give thanks, invoke God's name, and spread the word of his deeds. It's that second song we were talking about, right? Not just personal reflection anymore, but it's like a global declaration.
Exactly. The source points out the phrase throughout the earth, emphasizing how expansive this message really is. It's like this invitation to share this good news with the whole world. You can feel the urgency. It's like everyone should experience this profound joy and salvation.
Yeah, it's like this ripple effect. It starts with this individual transformation.
Yeah.
Then it expands outward to impact the whole world. Personal experience leading to global proclamation.
Yeah.
I love that.
And it's something that My Christian Space, the source itself, embodies. They're using this online platform to share their faith and their interpretations with a global audience. It's a really beautiful example of how these ancient principles can be applied today in a modern context.
Right. It's like they're living out the message of Isaiah 12. Okay, so going back to the text, the source mentions that these songs will actually be sung during the millennial reign. What do you think the significance is there?
I think it's fascinating. It's like these songs aren't just poetic expressions of faith. They carry this prophetic weight. They're destined to be fulfilled in this future kingdom. It gives us a glimpse into the heart of worship during that time.
Wow. It's almost like we're getting a preview of a future worship service.
Yeah.
People from every nation just united in song, praising God for this ultimate victory.
Exactly. And it really highlights the power of these words. It's not just for quiet contemplation. They're meant to be sung and shared, lived out, both now and in that future era.
That brings us back to that core theme that's woven throughout Isaiah 12. Joy.
Mm-hmm.
And the source emphasizes that this joy should be like a defining characteristic of God's people, even when facing challenges.
Yeah.
It's not about ignoring hardship, though, right? It's about finding a deeper wellspring of strength and hope.
You got it. This joy isn't dependent on circumstances. It's rooted in our relationship with God, in knowing that He's always with us. It's a joy that transcends our present reality, anchored in this promise of something so much greater.
Right. It's the kind of joy that perseveres even when things are tough. And this makes me think of Isaiah 12:6. Shout and sing for joy, you who live in Sion, for the Holy One of Israel is with you in his greatness. This verse just explodes with this confident, unwavering joy.
Doesn't it? And it makes a really important point. We don't have to wait for the millennial reign to experience this joy. It's available now. It's a gift we can tap into right now, no matter what we're facing. This deep, abiding joy. It comes from understanding that we're loved and forgiven unconditionally.
It's like that verse is a bridge, connecting the joy we experience now with the joy that's going to fill that future kingdom. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up and reflect on everything we've explored here, the prophetic songs, the vivid imagery, the call to action, what stands out to you as the most impactful takeaway from Isaiah 12?
For me, it's the interconnectedness of it all. Our personal salvation isn't this solitary experience. It's connected to our responsibility to share God's message with others. And that act of sharing, extending that invitation to experience God's love, that becomes a source of joy in itself. It's beautiful. It's like a cycle.
I love that. It's not just about receiving blessings, but becoming a conduit, letting those blessings flow through us and touch the lives of others.
Yeah, it really is. And Isaiah 12 gives us such a great guide for how to live out that interconnectedness, how to become like a vessel of joy and hope for other people.
It's like this chapter is giving us a blueprint for personal transformation, but also a roadmap for making an impact on the world. Before we wrap up our deep dive, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier, that powerful statement from the source material. Joy should be a defining characteristic of God's people.
It is a profound statement. And it really challenges us to think about the nature of our own joy. Yeah. Where does it come from? What keeps it going? Is it just a fleeting feeling? Or is it rooted in something much deeper, something that lasts?
Yeah, that's a really good question to consider. If we find our joy fading away, or if it's based on things that are temporary, superficial, maybe Isaiah 12 can help guide us, point us back to the springs of salvation, that never-ending source of true, lasting joy, the kind that comes from our relationship with God.
And remember, that source isn't something far off that we have to struggle to reach. It's inside us, the Spirit of God, symbolized by that life-giving water. It lives in those who believe. We can tap into that wellspring of joy anytime, no matter what's happening around us.
That is such a powerful reminder. It's not about waiting for everything to be perfect in our lives before we can experience true joy. It's about connecting to that source within us. It's always there.
You got it. And as we cultivate that joy within us, it naturally flows out into our interactions with other people. We become these beacons, drawing others to that same source of hope and peace.
It's like we become part of that ripple effect we talked about. We start with our own transformation, and then we contribute to a wave of joy that spreads out. It impacts families, communities, and ultimately the whole world.
And that vision of global impact, all nations united in praise and celebration. That's what Isaiah 12 ultimately points us towards. It's a glimpse into that future kingdom where God's victory will be complete and his joy will reign supreme.
It's a pretty inspiring vision. It leaves me with a sense of hope and excitement for what's to come, but it also challenges me to live out that joy right now, to be a reflection of God's love and grace in this moment.
Beautifully said. I think that's the heart of Isaiah 12's message. It's an invitation. Embrace the joy of salvation. Share it boldly with the world, and live each day as a testament to the hope and peace waiting for us in God's kingdom.
Well, friends, our deep dive into Isaiah chapter 12 has come to an end. We hope this exploration has given you a new appreciation for this incredible chapter, its beauty and its depth. If you want to dig even deeper, we encourage you to read Isaiah 12 in its entirety. And be sure to check out the My Christian Space website for more insights and resources.
And don't forget to subscribe to the Olive Grove podcast on YouTube for early releases of our episodes. Until next time, may your hearts be filled with the overflowing joy of the Lord.